this is Hummingbot 2.0. So let me just try to give you a brief demo, explanation into what we're launching, and then Fede is going to actually do the real live demo. Okay. So Hummingbot 2.0. Hummingbot started. We open sourced the actual software initially in April 2019. Back then it was pretty simple. And today, what we're going to demo today is essentially more of an application that allows more people to use Hummingbot. Plus, as I'll explain, we've also engineered Hummingbot from the ground up to create a more composable, more scalable strategy framework that allows you to create professional-grade, sophisticated strategies without writing a single line of code. So, first of all, let me try to explain the motivation for Hummingbot. And to me, it's about the ability to manage a quant fund on your own. So for me, it's always been my dream to manage my own quant fund. Not to work for one, but to run one. Because it's like the idea that all these machines are out there making money for you. Picking up signals from the market, trading based on them, and you're just sleeping. You're like fast asleep in your bed, and like the money just pouring in, right? Like, isn't that awesome? And the fact is that Renaissance, D-Shaw, these firms, that's exactly what they do. It's no different from what people are running Hummingbot on, just at a much, much bigger scale. But so I've read the histories of all these firms, and I realized by reading the biographies of like Jim Simons or David Shaw and these other quant fund founders, that they all started like this: a single person running a trading bot on their machine. Usually there's also a drum set in the back, because for some reason there's a correlation between drumming and running bots. But basically it's like 3 screens, charts, lots of analysis. But this is hard, right? But for those ones who make it, if you actually can generate a lot of money, then you hire your friends. You get like a dark basement, lots of computers, smells really bad. But you're making money, right? You're making lots of money running bots. And before you know it, you have an entire trading floor. You have an entire trading floor, like on some large New York building, and your basic citadel. This is a trajectory that all these quant funds have followed, right? But it's not that easy. It's not easy because, especially today, because now you're competing with all these guys. So if you're going to start a quant fund today, you're going to need access to fine-grained, high-resolution market data. You're going to need sophisticated algorithms to actually run and make money on that data. But the algos are kind of fixed. If you actually want them to respond to live market and changing market conditions, you'll likely need what's called a backtesting engine, something that can simulate that strategy against the data. You can change parameters and decide how it's going to perform before deploying that strategy line. In addition, you also need to worry about execution, because execution means which venue is the best one to actually execute that trade, right? You want to find the lowest price, the highest liquidity. You may also want to kind of like automatically set take profits, stop loss levels to actually manage the risk that you're taking. And then after you deploy all these algos, you probably need a way to monitor all of them, to figure out how all they're doing, to make changes, and to stop them if they're actually not going to make you money. And then finally, you have to keep up with the competition, because it's not just you, everyone out there trying to create money-making machines. So you have to have a constant feedback loop between your R&D team, the strategies, to make sure that your alpha doesn't decay. And so what it means today is that's why all those firms, Renaissance, D-Shaw, Two Sigma, they were all founded 30 years ago, right? In crypto, we have Jump, Wintermute, but those guys that were founded 7 years ago. Where are the new quant firms? Where are the opportunities for everyone in this room that wants to build a quant fund? This is why we built Hummingbot, because we really believe that this power of writing code and making money using code should be available to everyone. So it started as a white paper. It actually was because we were running a quantitative hedge fund. It was one of the first quant funds on the Ethereum blockchain, but unfortunately, it was too open. And one day we got a letter from the SEC, and they said, it looks like you're making this available to mom and pop investors. We weren't, but $300,000 in legal fees later, we just were too tired to argue, so we just ended up selling. But there was a great silver lining that came out of that because we didn't know what else to do, so we just open sourced our tech stack. Wrote a white paper about it because that's what you do, in those days. But what was amazing was that, it became actually a community project. So this is actually the contribution history. So from 2018 to now, you can see a consistent stream of commits. Not just us, but over 200 community members who just contribute code because they wanted to contribute to this open source project. So this is our first call from Carlo, just talking to you, explaining how it worked to people. And so we had to go around explaining what this is and how you could use it. But what we kind of discovered was it actually did solve a need in the market. And the need was hiring a market maker is really expensive, right? Wintermute, Jump, these are large trading firms. For them to get out of bed and serve a small token project, they're just thanks, but no thanks. So a lot of token projects, they had nothing else to turn to. So they just downloaded our software and started running Hummingbot instead of hiring a market maker. Meanwhile, a lot of the small market making firms, they also needed something to run. So they started using Hummingbot instead of building their own software. So today, Coin Alpha, 3Jane, System 9, these are some of the largest market makers in the crypto industry, and they're running Hummingbot under the hood. Hashi is actually an exchange, but we see them on our reported volume dashboard. So I'm pretty sure they're providing liquidity to exchange and Hummingbot. So overall, to me, this is what open source is all about, right? It's I don't care how people use it. The fact that you're using it makes me happy. And this is how much volume we've done all the users have done in the last year. $27 billion of volume reported on 200 unique CEXs and DEXs. And this volume graph, I think, actually follows the volume graph of the crypto market. We had the bear market in 2023 when we were averaging 50 million volume per day across all of our DEX exchanges. And then there was this big spike earlier this year when we were hitting $500 million days. And now it seems to be picking back up again. But to me, this is a reflection of the fact that Hummingbot has really become a standardized tool for a lot of folks in the industry.
Mike, I don't want to interrupt except to say that all those professional market makers, including Coin Alpha, we often disable the data reporting, and so that number is probably 10x of what it actually is.
Thanks. Right, I wasn't mentioning that, but yeah, you absolutely right.
And so the numbers you're seeing on the screen, these are just the smaller users who allow the data reporting. But if I'm running a proprietary market making fund, I'm nervous because I'm a market maker. I don't want to share my numbers, so I turn off public reporting to the open source, and I know 5 out of those 8 that don't report. We do report, the others don't report, and so in my estimation that number is vastly underestimated based on the volume that flows through. Sorry, go ahead.
No, thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Totally good.
Well, I always see that chart and I'm like, it's not 27 billion, it's 27 billion like a month. Anyway, go ahead.
But you know what? All this volume was done using this janky command line interface, the same one we started with 5 years ago. And that is what's going to change in Hummingbot 2.0. So what we've done with Hummingbot 2.0 is we've re-engineered Hummingbot from the ground up, because the original strategies of Hummingbot were basically monolithic programs that couldn't really be changed. And so every new strategy was a different program. And so that's why our flagship pure marketing strategy, initially had to meet 10 parameters, like, spread, order amount, exchange, trading pair, etc. Now it's like 50 parameters because people keep on asking us to add features like price ceiling, price floor, order tolerance, yada, 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 yada. So it just didn't scale. And about a year ago, after Fede, our CTO, joined, we decided to build something new, something called the V2 framework. And the idea behind the V2 framework is that a strategy, an algorithmic trading strategy, can be decomposed into separate abstractions. One abstraction is called a market data provider. This is what connects to an exchange and collects both historical data, order book data, and trade data and makes it available to the rest of the strategy. But this also could be a signal. Could be like a machine learning model, anything that generates inputs that the strategy consumes. Then you have a controller. A controller is essentially a base template for a type of strategy. For example, a market making controller is something that maintains orders on one venue. This is a basic market controller. Maintains orders on base one venue. It defines a set of orders, manages them, etc., etc. A directional strategy is a strategy that uses signal from somewhere to create long and short positions when the signal says long or short. So it's kind of like you can have these different strategy frameworks. And once you have these different strategy controllers, other people can extend them and build on top of them. So we've created a number of strategy controllers, and each of them can be configured in different ways. So there's also a configuration file. So it's kind of like you can have a marketing strategy that's designed for an aggressive, kind of like high frequency, more stable token like XRP. And so you can use actually the same strategy controller with different configurations for different types of scenarios. And finally, we've also added a component type called an executor. And the idea behind an executor is that when you're writing an algo trading strategy, you end up sometimes copying yourself a lot. There's all these common actions you're doing. For example, a lot of times when you have a position on an exchange. Let's say you've entered into a long position on a perpetual exchange, like that you haven't really traded yet. It's kind of like a margin position that has P&L associated with it. So you ideally want to set a take profit level, a stop loss level, maybe like a time limit, maybe a trailing stop. So there's kind of these features you want to code into the execution to make sure you can manage your risk. But why do it every single strategy? Why do you have to code that for every single strategy you develop? Why not just import a component and use that component in all your strategies? So the idea behind the V2 framework is that we've already created all of these different abstractions. And so now when you're building your own algo trading strategy, you can mix and match these different components like Legos. So you don't have to be a coder. All you have to do is understand how these work and stitch them together. So in our recent cohort of BotCamp, our educational company, we had people actually use this new strategy framework to create strategies. And the stuff they created were so much more advanced than the ones we had before that it actually blew us away. So that's why I think going forward, it actually makes our education company a lot more valuable, because I think now we can teach and actually have people use a more sophisticated framework to build their strategies. But I think the other thing we've done is, now that we have these new strategies, new types of strategies, we also want to make sure that we can make Hummingbot available to a wider range of users. In the past, given that janky CLI tool, you basically had to be a developer to really use it, right? Today, with what we're going to show you with Dashboard, now you have finally a graphical user interface, an app where you can actually see what you're doing and use it instead of trying to code a command line tool. So that's what the first kind of part of this Hummingbot 2.0. But later on this year, we're going to add this community hub where people can upload their strategies and configurations, where they can share and kind of download each other's configs, run them and see which ones work better. And we're going to add a Telegram-based user interface that uses AI to make the experience of running training bots a lot easier. But today, what I'm going to show you, what Fede's going to show you is dashboard. So let me just give you an overview of the functionality, and then Fede will actually walk you through what it does. So the main idea behind dashboard is that it's a visual experience, right? So before, let's say you were setting configurations for marketing strategy, you were just editing a YAML file. You had no idea what you're really doing. So today we have a visual configuration editor. So these are different order levels that you're going to set in the market. So this is a strategy with 10 buy order levels and 10 sell order levels. You can select the spread distribution, the amount distribution, and when you change it, as you'll see, this actually changes. So it's kind of like now you get much more assistance and much more guidance how to help you configure all the parameters involved in a professional grade marketing strategy. After you've done this, now you can backtest the strategies. In my opinion, this is really the killer feature of Hummingbot 2.0, because backtesting the strategy means simulating the strategy against historical data and to estimate how it would perform. So the reason backtesting is hard is because the engine has to be fitted to the type of strategy you're running in order to create a simulation. So actually, a lot of what quant training firms do is they will literally write a custom backtester for every strategy they deploy, because they need to understand exactly how it behaves. And so that's why they employ teams of quants, teams of engineers to do this. And it makes it really slow, because it's really hard to have experimentation when you can't backtest any generic strategy. What we've done is we've used the V2 framework so that backtesting engine is fitted into the types of controllers you're backtesting. So if you're backtesting a market-making controller, it's using a market-making controller logic. If you're backtesting a directional controller, it's using a directional controller logic. That's why this can backtest pretty much any strategy you throw against it. So, and this is all for free, because the data you're collecting, you're using Hummingbot to collect data from exchanges and then using that data to backtest. So you don't get paid for data, you just get it free. Final technical piece, the way that Fede has designed this thing is really fucking fast. And it's fast because we vectorized operations. So it's like you're not doing it for loops. You're basically doing a vectorized computation on. I'm gonna let you explain this because I don't really understand it, but it's really fucking fast. It's awesome. Okay. And finally, after you backtest it, now you can deploy it. So in the past, you had to once you have a config, you have to load in Hummingbot, start the CLI. It was a mess. Now today, you have all your saved configs. Just check them, launch them, and now you have 5 individual strategies running in a single instance. So this gives you a lot more power to actually just iterate faster on your strategy. Then after you've done that, you can see your strategy, you see your orders live in the market immediately. So you can just go to the exchange website and you can see this, which is all your order levels being placed in the market, as soon as that happens. And then you can go back, you can see your P&L, exactly how much volume you've traded, how much liquidity you're providing, all the metrics that give you the performance of your bots, and you can stop them, adjust them, and do whatever you want. So it's kind of now it's a full-fledged open source trading system instead of just a simple CLI tool. So but as I mentioned, Fede's going to give you a demo after this, so that will be much clearer how this all works. So what we've done from a business standpoint, Hummingbot, is we've created a separate company called BotCamp that's going to basically teach people how to create marketing strategies, basically how to be a market maker, how to basically develop algo trading strategies using Hummingbot. So we think this separation actually makes sense, because Hummingbot at its core is a nonprofit. It's an open source foundation that's set up to advance this open source project and really build it for the people. So in my opinion, even though I'm one of the founders of Hummingbot, I hope one day to hand off the reins to the community, so that the community itself is driving this open source project going forward. But I think bot camp to me is something that Fede and I are working on because we think it actually helps Hummingbot grow by educating people on how to use it and certifying them and teaching them both the theory and the practice of algo trading. So with bot camp, we've done 7 cohorts already. We're doing our 8th one. So we're starting our 8th one, which is private in end of June, and we're launching a public cohort at the beginning of August, which is open to the public. But the reason we do cohorts is because it actually takes it takes some time to learn it, right? It takes some time to learn how to use Hummingbot, how to design your strategies, how to build your own custom strategies. So that's why these are like 5-week boot camps, basically. And we're we're doing our 9th cohort in August. If you use this QR code, you can get 20% off with Consensus 2024. But I would say we just posted a YouTube video of what people built in cohort number 7, and I was really impressed because I think because of this new V2 framework, the folks that were able to use it in cohort 7 ended up building much more advanced strategies than what they were able to do in prior cohorts. So that's why overall, this one in cohort 9, we're actually going to focus on market making because we feel like a lot of people are using Hummingbot to provide market making for themselves or for other token projects, and so we want to offer this certification and really try to teach them how to use Hummingbot to market making on both sexes and dexes. This is honestly, this is the last slide. This is our goal. Our goal is to allow anyone in the world to create their own quant fund because they should be able to, right? It's just code. And so, if we can accomplish this mission, this is our real goal. So thanks. All right, so let me hand it off to Fede. So Fede, he's really the technical mastermind behind Hummingbot, and he's gonna show you how it really works.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Fede from Argentina. I came from Argentina to here, so. Well, are you familiar with market making strategies? Anyone is familiar a little bit? Okay. Well, what we're going to do is based on all the slides that Mike shows about how you do that process. We're going to do one iteration together. We're going to create a market making strategy for XRP. It's one of the tokens from our friends that are there. Then we're going to deploy it, so you can see how smooth is the process. And then I will tell you which are the new things that are going to come. So well, first, this is what the dashboard looks like. This is the PMM simple strategy. It's the most simpler strategy, so it's also like educational. You can learn by iterating with this page. The dashboard has some functionalities that we are developing, like you can manage multiple accounts, you can add credentials if you have customers and all that stuff. That is on progress, but now we're going to focus on how this actually works, right? Probably you don't see too much the numbers that are there, but you will understand this graph, right? Here we can see that is 1% and minus 1%. What do you think that is?
Trade volume?
No.
Target?
There are orders. Is one buy order is going to be at 1%, and the sell order is going to be at 1% from the mid price.
Of the capital, so from
Yeah.
the mid.
Yeah, in this case, it's using the mid price. The framework allows to, instead of using the mid price, use a fair price in case that you think that the price is another price and build the orders around that one. But we are going to stick with the simplest example. Yeah.
Can you skew it according to like how much is in the order book? I mean, like if you're seeing order books that are heavily bid but lightly offered, that it normally will skew off the mid?
Yeah, in this one, the PMM simple, no. But you can build a controller that does that.
Okay.
Well, the thing is that, okay, let's see, we have some parameters here that are the order refresh time, the cooldown, if you have stop loss, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to enter into too much details. I'm just going to run the backtesting, right? So the backtesting is going to evaluate how the strategy behaves against, I think I put 2 days only. When we have the output, we're going to see it here. It's not so fast as Mike said. We can see it here. And we can only see that we only have 3 trades. What do you think that these gray lines are? These are gray lines with dash.
Are those stops?
No.
You're doing a market making strategy. So you're
Yeah.
providing liquidity to the order book.
Yeah, you pull liquidity from the 2 sides all the time.
You had to adjust your.
Yeah, but what are the gray lines? What do you think?
It's the price that they think it should be, not the actual price.
Yeah, well, actually, it was the price that I placed the order, but as it wasn't hit, it was refreshed.
Oh.
That's why we are seeing that the orders are going to be refreshed
Okay.
and placed again. How frequently? With the order refresh time that we are seeing in the graph, right? So that is just to understand that this page is also like educational. It's going to give you some insights about how tweaking the parameters you can see your market maker. What can we conclude from this strategy? What you can say? How are the spreads? Too tight or
Too wide.
Too wide, right?
Yeah.
We didn't trade too much. So what can we do? We can say, okay, let's see how it looks like if we put the spreads in, I don't know, 0.5, right? 0.5 and 0.5. And then we can run the backtesting again. So the main idea of this is that before, as Mike mentioned, you just have a terminal, you change the YAML, you have a few spreads to check configure, but you don't even know how that looks like in the actual graph. Actually, I'm doing this with, I have like with my friends, we trade a lot. And well, before we didn't know too much about how it looks like, we do like more forward testing. But now with this, we are comparing the forward testing with this, and makes a lot of sense. Well, now we can see that we have more trades, right? But still, it's like, doesn't look so like a market making strategy, right? It's like we have a bunch of trades, but we have a lot of orders without fields, and so, right? Which are the metrics that we can see here? We can see how much volume we should be trading, we should trade with this strategy, the Sharpe ratio, very bad, the profit factor, the quant of trades that we execute, the accuracy, the global accuracy, the accuracy for long, the for short, the close types. So we can see here that we have 1 take profit, 0 stop loss, and 8 time limits. This framework is based, I don't know if you follow some guys from the academia, but there is one guy called Marcos Lopez de Prado. That is one cool guy. He basically, all my executors started with based on the 3-bell barrier method that he wrote in the book. That basically each action that you take in the market should have an end action that can be labeled. So then you can train models that can predict that output, right? So if you enter in a long position and it takes the take profit, it hits the take profit, it's going to be a 1. If it hits the top loss, it's going to be a -1. If it hits the time limit, it's a 0. So then if you're doing machine learning, you can translate a regression problem into a classification problem and predict into a classification, right? So we are seeing that we are hitting a lot the time limit barrier. So the red lines are not stop loss, right? So the next thing that we are going to do is to see, first of all, the stop loss is 5%, and XRP doesn't move 5%, right? So let's adapt the XRP to 1. Let's adapt the take profit to, I don't know, 0.5%, right? Let's add a few order levels, let's say 4 order levels per side, instead of just 1. Now you can see the effect of the order levels, right? Now let's move, I will use the 2 hands because, now let's move this like this, let's say 0.4, 0.6, and 0.8, something like this. You probably will use this to have an initial insight of how the parameters should be, and then you can run. We supported in the previous version of Dashboard an optimization framework using Optuna that will run a bunch of backtesting with different parameters to see which are the optimals. For now, we are sticking with the more basic, so then you can, based on the basic example, you can run a notebook to optimize. So, well, here we are seeing the new distribution of orders. So now instead of having just 1 order, we have 4 orders per side. We made the take profit and the stop loss tight, more tight. We are ready to backtest again. as more orders you put, the backtesting takes a little bit more. But well, it's going to take, I don't know, 30 seconds. But well, this is basically the process that a person that works in a market making firm should be doing if it's, I don't know, the manager asks for market make for a token. You probably would like to spend time doing the backtesting, seeing how it looks like, put the strategy to run, compare, and all that stuff. And another great thing that this framework has is that as we are abstracting all the layers, I don't know if you are too technical enough for the, yeah, I probably am doing over engineer here, but the thing is that if I'm going to trade on XRP, I can write 5 strategies that uses XRP, run all of them in the same bot, but with different parameters. So I can do live trading with with the same strategy with 5 different parameters, see which is the best one in live trading, and turn the rest off. That is something that this framework allows you. So we see the backtesting. The sharp is a little bit better now. We can see that we are placing much more orders around the mid price. We have more fields. Now this looks more like a stable strategy that will have more fields based on compared to the old one. But we can still continue optimizing this, right? This is something that you probably like to do a few times. Or if you're lazy, you can do it just once and run the bot. But yeah, it's like what you want. Well, and now let's say, one thing that I didn't mention is that here you can see the PNL over time. For me, backtesting, I also have the Hummingbot, a modified version of Hummingbot that backtests with ordered book and trades. And for me, it doesn't make too much sense because with the backtesting, I'm not looking to see the perfect output of my strategy. It's more like a validation that what I am doing makes sense, because if not, if you're backtesting with ordered book, first of all, if you're not doing cross-exchange, market making, or arbitrage, you are probably going to overfit your strategy or the parameters to that backtesting. So for me, backtesting is not the ground truth. It's more like an estimation of how your algorithm can work. We are going to add, like when you stop the bot, we have a database and we have like the same report for the bot that run live, and we are going to add the backtesting or just below that, so you can compare how efficient was your backtesting or not. That is going to give you like more insights, right? But well, let's say that now we would like to save this config. Let's put here demo config tab 1.1. So we upload the config, and now we can go here to deploy, and we can go here to demo, call the bot, I don't know, bot 1. Pick the image. If you have a custom Docker image of Hummingbot, you can use it here. And just and pick the account that you want to trade, and just create. That's all the things that you need to do to have a bot trading live. Now, obviously that takes a little bit because that creates a Docker container with the bot inside and needs to start trading all that stuff. It will take like 10 to 20 seconds. But this is all that you need to do in order to have a bot doing trading, real trading. And this is the value that we are adding to the users right now. Before, I need to admit that was a little bit not so good experience, was a little bit technical. But well, this is all the things that you need to do. Now, if we go to, let's go to Binance. I would say that my connection is not good because I'm using the Wi-Fi from here and a VPN to one of our servers. I don't trade locally, so it's not going to be so good. We can see the container too. This is the original Hummingbot interface, just to show you guys. This is the original Hummingbot that is running, right? This is what you usually will see before when you were running the bot. As you can see, it's placing orders. We can go here, and I think that I put it in USDT. Are in, yeah, it's here. Okay, this is the bot that we just configured just right now, right? So what do we have right now? We have a bot up and running. So now you will say, okay, what if I want to deploy more strategies, right? You can come back to this deploy tab, put, I don't know, bot 2, And now I'm going to deploy a few strategies that then I'm going to show you. Like this. Like this. Let's deploy this. So now we're going to deploy 3 more strategies in another bot. And now, I don't know if I am talking and no, this is another bot. Okay, it's stopped. It's going to start. It's started. So you can see these 3 strategies. We can see this active instances panel where you can monitor all your bots, right? So as you can see, we have the bot that we coded together, that is this one. That we can see liquidity placed, $1,000 was the money that we put. And we can see for the other 3 strategies, how much liquidity is placed, how much volume is traded, the P&L of all the composed P&L of all the strategies. And individually, yeah, you cannot see anything because it's very bad. But, this is like each controller, and these are the realized P&L, unrealized P&L, net P&L, volume, open order volume, that is like liquidity placed, and the imbalance that you have. If you are more positioning on long, the imbalance is going to be positive. If you are short, it's going to be negative, right? So well, here is where you can see the bots, control them. If there is any problem with one of the controllers, so you think that one controller is going very wrong, or the market conditions change when you created the config, you can go here and say, okay, I don't like this config, stop it, and now this controller is going to be like paused. This is what we call boxes. Now you can modify the configuration on the fly and start it again. So now it's more like a trading system that is dynamic, more intuitive, and opens up the possibility to anyone that has a computer. Probably it's going to be better if you have Mac or Linux. In Windows, it's not probably so compatible. Oh yeah, with WSI works well. Yeah, or you can put it on the server. But anyone that has a computer can start iterating and trying to pick one of the strategies and run the strategy that he wants. This is not all. We also have a few other things. Well, for example, here, credentials management. If you're managing credentials for a lot of people, you can create accounts that say test account. You can create this account, and then you can start adding keys to that account and easily start trading. It's very, very fast. We're working on this portfolio right now, shows the balances, but it's not working. It's working, but it's not so descriptive. You can download candles if you want, that kind of utility. And besides the market making simple, as I mentioned, we have more complex strategies, like for example this PMM dynamic, that not only involves putting like putting spreads around the mid price, but you can use indicators or signals. For example, let me put it one more stable in 15 minutes. It's going to download the candles and show me. Yeah, it's more stable to see the MACD. This strategy, that is a PMM dynamic, what it does is instead of using the spread as a percentage, is a multiplier of the normalized average true range. That is the size of the candle in percentage. So he's saying, instead of saying my spread is 1%, my spread is 1 average candle. So the algorithm is going to be adapted like more dynamically to the market conditions. That value is this line. So you can see over time how the market behaves and how there's the spread, the base unit of the spread will be. Then you also have this, the MACD. In this example, what it does is, if the MACD says that it's long, it's going to move the reference price up. What is going to make that effect is going to make that the bids are much more likely to be executed than the asks, right? This logic from here is inspired from the paper of Avellaneda Stoikov. I don't know if you hear about it, but it's a paper that manages shifts the mid price based on the inventory imbalance plus trading activity and a lot of other things, right? But the base logic that I abstracted here was, okay, Avellaneda Stoikov in that paper selected the inventory and other metrics to shift the mid price and make the spread dynamic. But what you want to do when you are running a market making strategy is to shift the market making based on any indicator and make the spread dynamic on another thing. So this framework allows you to plug in any signal to shift the mid price and any signal to increase the spreads. And obviously that after this you have to do the orders and then backtest, right? So this is the 2 types of strategies that are more like PMM. Then we have this one that is a little bit more aggressive. This is more like martingale. This is the one that I run. My friends call me Demon, that is what I call Demon Maker. So yeah, this is a little bit more aggressive and has DCAs. So here, this is a very cool feature of, I don't know if you're familiar with DCAs, but shows you like for each order level where the spread is going to be, which is the resulting break-even price for each level that you move, which is the maximum amount in quote asset that you can lose if you get up to a stop loss. This is how much you need to come back to take profit. So I usually run these high leverage strategies to make some. It's like going to the casino, but with DCAs.
This is actually kind of similar to like the grid strategies that like a lot of exchanges offer, but in a more complex way. Because the grid strategies just place orders on the book, and they don't manage them afterwards. This strategy actually kind of like manages that grid afterwards by using dollar cost averaging to help you like, determine the break-even price, determine the take profit, stop loss levels. So in our opinion, this is like kind of like grid strategy on steroids.
Yeah. And then we have a set of strategies. The other things that I mentioned, that I showed before, were more like the market making framework. But we also have the directional trading framework that is most suitable for directional traders. And one cool thing is that you also have the backtesting functionality, but you can see beforehand in the graph what it looks like your signal. In this case, this is a simple Bollinger strategy. Are you familiar with Bollinger, I suppose? So Bollinger, what is this? Is like this is the mean. And usually you can configure here how many standard deviations you want, but these are 2 standard deviations up from the mean and 2 standard deviations down from the mean. So how you use Bollinger, you're usually looking for a mean reversion strategy. How you usually trade Bollinger, you have to put a threshold, because I would like to say if I am above the band or how long I am from the band, I would like to short, right? So here you have short threshold and long threshold. So you can have like a very fast way to iterate. Let's say instead of putting 0 of long threshold, I will put 0.2. So the output of this will be seeing much more buys, right? And well, there are other parameters like how many buys can I take from one side, which is the time between each signal that is turned off or on. So well, there are a lot of parameters that makes the framework usable for any type of signal. Well, we have this one with Bollinger. We have this one with MACD and Bollinger. It's a mean reversion that combines the 2 of them. I like this one much more. And then we have another set of strategies that are more like general, that if you're a market maker, you probably want to run some of this, that is cross-exchange market making. What you do with cross-exchange market making, usually you find an exchange that has a lot of liquidity, like Binance, and an exchange that has low liquidity. And what you do is you calculate, okay, in the exchange that has a lot of liquidity, which is the resulting price if I buy at market, plus the transaction cost, plus the fees on the maker exchange. That will give you like a resulting price that at that price, if you make the trade from the 2 sides, you are like break even, right? This is this 0. So here you can say, this is where I'm going to place my order, and if the order gets filled, I'm going to buy market in the other exchange. This is cross-exchange market making, how we call it. And these are like mean profitability and max profitability. So if I place the orders there and my order is filled, I will hedge it, but if it goes below the mean profitability, I will remove it and replace it with a new 0. So this is how this strategy works. So this is, well, and then in the dashboard you have some community pages to see, for example, the spreads of one token across multiple exchanges, to see this type of cross-exchange market making strategies, and some analysis of TVL and market cap. That, well, these are community pages, more random. But well, this is basically all for now. I don't know if you have any questions about how it works. Let me see if I still trading. Yeah, we're still trading here. We have 35 orders.
Yeah.
Well, this is pretty much all. Question?
Could you put like a VAR limit with correlated assets so that you're gonna keep the same sort of bid-ask spread on all the assets that you're offering liquidity on, and it only sort of starts taking back liquidity once you hit a VAR limit within the correlation grid?
Yeah, pretty much everything can be done. It's like, depending on how technical are you to code the strategy, everything is possible. It's like, you have to think Hummingbot, not like a closed source system that you can just do certain things, more like an open code base that you can code anything on top of it. It's like you need a few developers probably to do that, but yeah, it's totally possible. You can do it.
Have you ever done like plugins for experiment management, or is that kind of just bring your own?
Yeah, right now is but yeah.
Well, I mean, it's open source. So like, each controller is basically a file in the open source repo, so you can already like copy them and use them as you want.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you don't really need to plug in; you can just use it.
Right.
Yeah. But
Are there any capabilities for doing the management of on exchange and off exchange funds for hot and cold wallets?
no, we usually don't play around with withdrawals that stuff because that introduces a layer of security in the system that is open source, and we think that can be managed by our counterparty. But yeah.
I'm wondering for the data source, like if you see like all the back testing, we will need all the data from different exchange and also.
Yeah, it's already there. Hummingbot collects it for you. Actually, there are a few strategies. It's like this: the order book data is not publicly available. You need to collect it, or you need to pay a provider. Usually, they cost from 3K to 5K per month. Hummingbot has some scripts that you can run and start collecting the order book and the trades in real time and stores it into TXT files or JSON, whatever you want. That is something that you can do with Hummingbot 2. We actually I work in one company that we did the Hummingbot Pro version with backtesting, and we have that setup that we collect the same data with Hummingbot. We store in S3, and then we use it to backtest all that stuff. But with this version and the frequency of this type of strategies, you don't need that reference. Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. It was mentioned that you can bring in third-party market data. Can you do that through the UI?
No. What type of data provider?
It was mentioned like the input.
Yeah, basically, talk about the machine learning controller.
Okay, yeah, well, that will be, I was talking with Cooper too about that. That will be coming soon. Like, I'm thinking about, and my background is more in machine learning and AI, so I love that too. But the thing is that if you have a model, usually if you dump a model that has the pre-processing and the prediction and the inference inside the model, I can just plug it in one of the directional or market making strategies. Actually, with Ripple, one of the students, he has a prediction model, and he used the model to shift the mid price. It's like he defined the fair price, and he predicted which is the next spread multiplier that is going to be, and he uses that on top of the market making framework. So basically, you can plug anything on top of it. And one of the good thing about the cohorts is that, for example, we have like something called office hours, that the people comes to the office hours. For example, the ones that are with me are more like technical. One of the guys says, "Oh, I would like to use liquidations," and we didn't have a liquidations feed, but we called the liquidations feed in 30 minutes, and then he had the liquidations feed available. And then he contributed. It's like I coded that for him, and then he contributed to open source. But it's like anything that has REST, WebSocket, or any type of thing, I can integrate it like very fast, and you can use it as you want. Another use case for something that you mentioned, there is another student from one of the first cohorts, it's called Calum, and he basically, I have a call with him because he told me, I would like to do market making. I passed the last 6 months integrating all these exchanges and aggregating order books. So he has a very good data stack that integrates all the order books to have like a fair price across a lot of pairs. But he told me, I don't have any execution. So what we did is I created an API for him that will be communicating with Hummingbot to provide, based on his data stack, the fair price and the spread multiplier. So then he can just use Hummingbot for execution and use the data stack as he wants from the other side. And he was trading in 100 markets, I think, with one single instance. So he was like really, really happy after the.
Colin is actually one of our most active community members. So he
Yeah.
ask a question on Discord. Colin and a bunch of other longtime community members will likely answer your question.
Yeah. So, any other questions?
How much is the course?
How much is it?
Yeah, so we have different varieties. So we have like basic pre-recorded courses, like intro to market making, intro to algo trading, like $200 each right now. And then we have our cohorts for like 5-week bot camps we normally price for like $3,000, but there's like early birds where you can get like 2,000 or so.
Yeah. Here you have if you want the
But the course, the reason we price it higher is because we only accept a smaller batch of students, and Fede and I and our mentors try to help each student or each team build their own custom strategies. So quite a lot of hand holding, but afterwards, hopefully, you basically become like a professional grade market maker out here.
That's a very fair price. Very fair. Too cheap.
Well, it's to be honest, like we actually do think we're pricing it lower compared to like whatever, some like professional course. But our goal for education is really to expand user base. So it's really about trying to give many people the ability to do professional grade marketing as possible.
Well, if that's all, thank you very much. I hope that you start using Hummingbot. Well, so you can grab more beers.
Yeah, we're turning the music back on. Also, actually, this is actually already available in our Fede's like beta branch.
Yeah, it's here.
Yeah. So basically, this is actually but this will be moved over to the main Hummingbot repo and actually shipped at the end of June. So that'll be the Hummingbot 2.0 release. Basically.
Yeah.
So that will include basically right now Hummingbot like what we consider open source is like a kind of like to the public is really the base Hummingbot repo, but we're going to add the dashboard repo, the backend API repo, and the broker repo that kind of communicates everything together. So it's kind of like now we're adding more to the framework itself, and so there'll be probably 4 or 5 repos in every release.
Yeah, and the only thing that you need to, if you are curious about how to run this dashboard and all that stuff, the only thing that you need to do to have the graphical interface that I put there is clone the repo, cd to the repo, and bash setup.sh, and that will create all the services for you. The services are a backend API that works to orchestrate bots, manage the configurations, the strategies on the file system, and the broker messages. We have a broker that is like it's like a messaging system that you can send messages and receive messages, and bots can communicate that and send reports. And the dashboard, that is what you use to orchestrate everything. So, well, thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir.